Hello and welcome to FA Cup Rewind. This time we're turning the clock back from Ewood Park, home of course to Blackburn Rovers, the first of today's league clubs to have won the Cup back in 1884. We're at the quarter-final stage, the last time home advantage comes into play, the final chance for partisan support to play a really big part in any cup run. And there's plenty of passion to be found in our three matches today, along with the odd dash of drama. In over 140 years of its existence, the FA Cup has often catapulted players from being just another name and number on a lower league pitch to a level of footballing fame that brings instant recognition. And our first tie gives us a prime example of that. The quarter-final at Premiership Leicester City would be Wycombe Wanderers' 9th tie in the competition that season. The Chairboys had only been a Football League side for 8 years, and masterminding their cup run was a man well versed to playing the role of underdog. Original Crazy Gang member Lawrie Sanchez, whose goal beat Liverpool in the 1988 final, had already seen off his old side Wimbledon in the 5th round, and Ivan Gaskill assessed his and Wycombe's chances of upsetting the odds once more.
The FA Cup paid a flying visit to Adams Park this week, but a striker shortage is threatening to scupper Wycombe's pursuit of the real thing. An approach to Gianluca Vialli, one of the more audacious, as their search became more urgent. No less than 7 forwards ruled out of the quarter-final.
We've scoured far and wide. I mean, several names have been mentioned. All paths and routes were looked at. At the end of the day, none of them were successful. And
Signor Vialli
was one of the names mentioned. We did have conversations with his agent, and he didn't get any further than that, to be honest. But we spoke to Ian Wright as well, was another one that was mentioned. And he said he'd love to have played. In fact, he'd have paid us to have played, but he said he's got a slight injury or he's got a bad ankle that he couldn't take part in it.
Injuries aside, it's all eyes on Leicester and continuing that cup run now.
We don't want it to end. I mean, no one here has got any delusions that we're going to win the FA Cup, but we've been saying that for the last couple of rounds, and we're still here for the quarter-final. And I'm sure, like me, the rest of the players have imagined what it'd be like to win and get into the semi-final.
At Filbert Street to see if Wycombe's imagination could become a reality was Tony Gubber.
Wycombe take the stage for this showpiece FA Cup tie with a team of understudies, with half a dozen senior players injured. Anyone fit plays, and that includes on-loan striker George Clegg, a 20-year-old who hasn't been certain of his place in Manchester United reserves this season, but he makes his FA Cup debut. At least Wycombe do have 2 players back today from suspension. Paul McCarthy comes into central defence and Michael Simpson back into midfield. But the task facing the team from Division 2 is emphasised by the plight of 19-year-old right wing-back Ben Townsend, who finds himself having to contain the wing play of Leicester City's Steve Guppy, a player who was part of the Wycombe success during the early 90s, but who, because of an injury to Callum Davidson, now finds himself suddenly playing against his old club. Well, Leicester's other changes: Stefan Oakes comes in for the cup-tied Junior Lewis, Andrew Impey for the injured Frank Sinclair, and with names like Elliott, Izzard and Sturridge, Wycombe's task today really does look daunting. Let's hope that Wycombe's fairy tale doesn't become a nightmare. This is their 9th FA Cup tie in this run, in a season in which they will play at least 62 games. Well, Lawrie Sanchez made a fantastic piece of FA Cup history when he scored the winning goal for Wimbledon against Liverpool in 1988. And he's written another chapter here as the manager of Wycombe. This is the furthest the club have ever been in this competition. Impey. Savage! Plucked out of the air by Martin Taylor. It's the first attempt at goal that Leicester City have created, comfortably saved by a player who once lost 2 years of his career with a very badly broken left leg. Oh, it was a good shot by Bullman, almost caught Simon Royce off guard. Needed a sharp save down at the foot of that near post. It's a corner. That's Bates taking up a position on that near post. McCarthy just ahead of him. Well, that's exactly where the ball was delivered. Cleared by Savage to Sturridge. Here's Townsend, in left-footed. Elliott didn't get it, and behind him did, and it was Clegg. Wycombe will be quite content to have got through the opening 30 minutes or so without any damage inflicted, other than a couple of fairly orthodox saves for goalkeeper Martin Taylor. Savage has got very angrily to his feet. Gary Rowett tried to calm down Robbie Savage. Sometimes it's a difficult thing to do. And sensed at the challenge of Steve Brown, who will be cautioned. Looking by his header, it's Bates. Izzet wins it, but at the expense of a free kick. Impey's header. Savage. Here's Brown. It's nicely struck. What a good strike it was. It was curling towards that top right-hand corner. Simon Royce with the first really testing save. It's Impey. This is Clegg. To Ryan! Oh, he got his head to it as well. What a decent chance right at the start of the second half. And Keith Ryan playing up front with so many of Wycombe's strikers injured. There's no Andy Rammell, the top scorer. Sean Devine's a long-term injury. That was a really decent cross from the Manchester United youngster. Izzet, no room in which to operate. Foul though by Townsend, free kick. Izzet to take it. Oh! Sturridge, who didn't quite get the header that was required to knock it back across goal. Impey working as a defender, battling with Clegg. Free kick. Simpson dragged down. There's a tenacity about Wycombe, in particular the midfield pairing of Simpson and Bullman. So Brown will take the free kick. Crowded penalty area. Oh, that's a header. It's McCarthy. Wycombe have taken the lead. Paul McCarthy, the central defender, up for the set piece. His 7th goal of the season, and unbelievably, Wycombe take the lead. Was there any suggestion there of an own goal by the defender? I think it was Akinbaye. Well, would you believe it? The team are threadbare of strikers, and it's a defender who's got the opening goal. Paul McCarthy, the former Republic of Ireland under-21 international, who scored one of the penalties in the shootout against Wimbledon, with the game's opening goal. Looked on by Ryan. Elliott wonders where Clegg is. Puts it out. Simpson with the throw. Brown with the header. Oh, it was a great header as well from Steve Brown. Peter Taylor with cause to be very thoughtful. Appointed to this job in June of last year, and it's been success all the way since. But Laurie Sanchez, or is he going to pull off yet another of the FA Cup's biggest ever shocks? It's tackled. Eadie. Surely they must. Muzzy is it. Makes it one apiece. And for the first time, really, Wycombe's defence had been pulled apart. It was a simple goal for Izzet to score. An excellent break, and where were the covering defenders? Suddenly there weren't any. And all Edie had to do was get it across to the feet of Muzzy Izzet. And it's 1-1. It's now Muzzy Izzet's best ever season for goals. Previously on 10, which equalled his best. Oh, it is another chance. Hacking by. Brilliant save by Martin Taylor. Izzet forced to turn away. Impey. The Leicester City threatening there to score twice in the space of a minute. You can only say that Wycombe's guard had gone down. And Akinbaye had the chance then to make himself a real Leicester City hero. And he raised the memory of the departure of £11 million Emile Heskey. But it was an excellent save by the man who used to be the understudy to Peter Shilton at Derby County. Here's Brown to Townsend. Oh, it gets away from Edie. Edie then gets back at him and concedes a free kick. Now, an opportunity for Wycombe to crowd the penalty area. Steve Brown will take the free kick. Leicester will remember the opening goal by McCarthy. Bates is in there as well this time, so too is Cousins. Was headed out under his own goalpost by Matt Elliott. Back in by Brown. Oh, that looked suspicions of handball maybe by Oakes. It's a Leicester throw, and Laurie Sanchez is remonstrating with the referee's assistant on this near side. So are some of the Wycombe players. It looked to be handball by Stephen Oakes. It's the first time Laurie Sanchez has allowed his cool to crack. He's remained very impressive during this cup tie, even when his side took the lead. But that certainly looked like handball. Well, did it hit the upper arm? It was certainly a close call. And Laurie Sanchez is he's been sent off. Oh, that's a disappointment for the Wycombe manager. Laurie Sanchez ordered out of the dugout and into the dressing room by Steve Bennett for a protest against a lack of a flag from the referee's assistant. There's Laurie Sanchez. He's in the area down below the main stand where we do the interviews, and there's a monitor there. He's watching the closing minutes of this game. Came off the head of McCarthy. It's a Leicester corner. 4 minutes of added on time to get a result and perhaps deny Wycombe a replay back at Adams Park. Guppy takes the corner. Taggart! There might have been a free kick given anyway against Jerry Taggart. Gunnarsson. Here's young Lee, just on as a substitute. Wycombe are prepared to push players forward in these last few moments. Got a free kick as well. Against Gunnarsson. It's another packed penalty area. Lewis can only punch. From Bullman. Oh yes! Isando! Unbelievable! 2-1 Wycombe lead. We're into added on time, and the wonder story in the FA Cup continues. This is a player who answered an appeal on the Wycombe website for players. Used to play for Motherwell. abroad in Austria and Finland. He's on a week-to-week contract. An Irish Ghanaian who was born in Belfast. Oh, there's a red card being shown. Well, Laurie Sanchez, celebrating the goal, will now be disappointed that a red card has been shown to Steve Brown. So Wycombe, the second cup tie in succession, are down to 10 men. But the difference this time is there isn't 50 minutes left to play. We're into the last 2 or 3 minutes of added on time. And unbelievably, Wycombe lead Premiership Leicester City 2-1 on their own ground, and are now within touching distance of a place in the FA Cup semi-finals. You just couldn't write stories like this. It's a corner to Leicester. What more drama? Wycombe. Guppy will take the corner. Elliott's in there, Rowett's there. Header was by Rowett, but it was always too high. And a few more precious seconds tick away. And would you believe it? The name of Wycombe Wanderers to go into the draw for the semi-finals of the FA Cup. It's just unbelievable. And in all the great history of this competition, all the great chapters and all the great things that have happened, this will surely rank alongside the greatest of them. Feeds it back to his goalkeeper. And don't forget, Sunderland and Liverpool have played here at Filbert Street in the last 2 Premiership games and both failed to score. Wycombe have scored twice. Steve Bennett checks his watch. Oh, it's all over! Wycombe are in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And all around, there's great emotion. Terrible disappointment for Leicester City, but you just cannot underestimate the performance of Wycombe Wanderers. And now, along with his number 2 Terry Gibson, Laurie Sanchez, the manager who was sent off, can emerge from the tunnel and join in the celebration. Bewilderment on the faces of Leicester City supporters, but it's joy unbridled for Wycombe. Could they go all the way? Could they get to the FA Cup final itself? But the final score here at Leicester is Leicester 1, Wycombe Wanderers 2.
Roy, no offence, but who are you?
Good question. Roy Sando.
But where did you come from? Tell us the story of how you joined Wycombe.
Yeah, I was playing in Finland, so I've just finished playing in Finland in November, and I've been over in England since then, obviously, and I'm trying to get a team in England, so my agent fixed me up with this move to Wycombe, so I've been here 2 weeks. I don't really know most of the players, but it's my 3rd appearance for them, so brilliant.
Tell us a little bit about Roy Essendon. I mean, did you have to resort to advertising on teletext or something to get him?
Yeah, I said to the press officer jokingly one day, look, we've got no strikers for this game because young Parkin, who was on loan from Chelsea, went back when his loan finished, and we lost 2 strikers in the Wimbledon game. And I said, put an advert in text just saying if anybody's out there who wants to play and he's not cup tied, then give us a shout. And I had an agent phone me up. To be fair, I only had one agent phone me up the following day.
Only one?
Only one. Saying I've got to play for you. And he came down, played a reserve game, did okay. I said, it was hard to tell. I said, come on Saturday, you can play in the first team and see how you do then. Played on the Saturday, played 10 minutes on Tuesday against Reading, and came on today for 10 minutes and made himself a hero. And I haven't seen him since.
Well, if anyone didn't know the name Roy Essendon before the game, all football fans certainly did afterwards. Wycombe's heroics were brought to an end in the semi-finals by eventual winners Liverpool, but not without running the mighty Merseysiders close. When Brian Clough took over at Nottingham Forest in 1975, they were languishing in the old 2nd Division. But just as he'd done with East Midlands rivals Derby County, Clough swiftly got them promoted, turning a previously average provincial side into a major national force. By March 1978, Forest were closing in on a domestic treble, having reached the League Cup final and, unbeaten since November, sitting proudly on top of Division 1. With the help of Nottingham-based band Paper Lace, they even sung about how well they were doing, although this didn't reach the top, peaking at number 24 in the UK charts.
It's not literally true. We haven't got the world in our hands yet, despite the fact we've played reasonably well for 5 or 6, 7 months. At this precise moment, we haven't won anything.
Well, what about this sort of triple award you're going for?
Well, we don't even think about things like this. We just take match to match and that type of thing, you know. To be still in 2 cup competitions and contenders for winning a league championship in the middle of February is sufficient for us at the moment.
Chances are that sitting at the side of the pitch here, that you and Peter Taylor might start humming it during a match?
I wouldn't think so, no. There's rather a different sound comes out of Peter Taylor's and my mouths during football matches.
Well, it was the era of the football song, and believe it or not, that was one of the better ones. Back to the action, and in the quarter-finals, Forest were drawn away to West Bromwich Albion, an emerging side under Ron Atkinson, following the departure of Ronnie Allen as manager in January. Finding out who would call the tune at a jam-packed Hawthorns was Barry Davis.
A few more steps on another route to Wembley. And what awaits them at the end of this particular tunnel as they come out to a capacity crowd here at the Hawthorns, 38,500. The team rated as 11-2 only for the treble. With the local team to tremendous applause, in very good form. A run of 6 games unbeaten, and they've scored 15 goals, and indeed, when Nottingham Forest started their run of 22 games, it was Albion who held them on their own ground back in November. The Albion side at full strength, with the exception of Len Cantello, who's been out for some weeks now. Laurie Cunningham, who played for the England under-21 side in midweek, can only get on the substitutes bench. Nottingham Forest without both regular fullbacks, Anderson, who's suspended, Barrett, who's injured, and Ian Bowyer plays only his 2nd game ever in that position. Frank Clark played in a cup final at number 3 for Newcastle United. Brian Clough making his way to the dugout without Peter Taylor this afternoon. Peter Taylor, his number 2, is on holiday in Mallorca. The referee is England's man in Argentina, Pat Partridge, who will also be in charge of the League Cup final next week. Albion get the match underway, attacking the goal to our right. Forest in all red, Albion in blue and white stripes and white shorts. His width. His width. O'Neill, oh, it bounced awkwardly. Gemmell. Came slightly unkindly to Godden. Will be happy to have got away with that one, the young keeper from Archie Gemmell. Robertson going to have a run. The other Robertson got it away. Oh, and a brilliant save by Tony Godden. Martin O'Neill denied by a superb save by Tony Godden. Really had to get across his goal. Here's David Needham. Woodcock again. Robertson is out on the touchline. Here's Gemmell. He can switch it the other way to Frank Clark, and does. O'Neill, McGovern, blocked by Alistair Robertson. And here's Johnston. Tony Brown square, now going on ahead. Foul by O'Neill. Hip against hip. On by Alistair Brown. Martin! And it's there! Mick Martin! Look of surprise on both scorer and goalkeeper. Shilton was coming forward, And as Alistair Brown won it, Martin flicked at it, and it went straight over the top and into the corner. 16 minutes gone, and an unusual goal, to say the least, puts Albion in front. Well, it's perhaps a good point to point out that Forest's unbeaten run of 22 games is exactly that of Everton's, and they got beaten in the 23rd. Here's Gemmell. Bionic baggies is the comment. More traditional flag behind. Just gives some idea of the pressures of English football. Forest at 11-2 for a possible treble, but know that on consecutive Saturdays they could go out of 2 cup competitions, meeting Liverpool, of course, in the League Cup final next week. It's early days in this 6th round of the FA Cup. Johnson again. O'Neill is the back player. Bowyer is nowhere. Johnson round O'Neill. Statham is there, but he gets the cross. Regis! Way by Clark. Woodcock and Weil. Tony Godden is there. Must be feeling even better about his save from O'Neill now, the young goalkeeper. So much to Skipperby. Johnson as Bowyer lost it. Here's Regis, it's too long. Burns, he lost it! And Alistair Brown puts it wide. Mistake by Burns gave Alistair Brown the chance which wasn't taken. Gemmell. Well, they were looking for that. 2 of them, Johnson and Mulligan. Promising this if it could be played. This is Alistair Brown. Tony Brown is square. Gemmell getting back goal side. Shilton to meet him and cut the angle. And Tony Brown furious with his namesake. But in fairness, although Alistair Brown says sorry, or so it seemed, Tony Brown for a while was in an offside position and it couldn't be played to him. Victory notice there of Nottingham Forest. Died in peace on March the 11th, I wonder. Nottm. Gemmell. Oh, and they didn't like that, the 2 Scots. Gemmell and Johnston. Johnson arrived a bit late, caught Gemmell across the instep, and Johnson to be booked for the tackle. Referee was right. Will they be on the same side in Argentina? Burns, Godden, good catch. Then Cantello in the West Bromwich Albion team bench, and looking forward also Laurie Cunningham, the substitute. Atkinson, the manager, always sits up on the stand as long as possible. Alistair Brown getting behind Burns. Tony Brown, point save by Shilton. Good early ball from one Brown, quickly hit by the other Brown, but the answer was provided by Shilton. With beaten by Statham, who now has a problem, which he solves with somewhat ease. Surely was a kick from behind by Bowyer on Johnson. Ends with a smile and not surprisingly a free kick, and I think maybe a booking. Yes, indeed. Well, not despondent at the Forest end. It's early days yet. Mr. Partridge having a check on his watch. And Albion go in at half-time with the lead, which will obviously please them. Goal by Mick Martin after 16 minutes, but it surely won't satisfy them because they could have had 2 more chances that fell to Alistair Brown. Who comes off with his head looking down. Forest down, but they must know they could well have been out. With and Woodcock hopeful of somewhat better service, I would think, in the second half. Forest now attacking the goal to our right. There's John McGovern. Johnston. Foul by O'Neill. Had a good first half, Martin O'Neill. I wonder whether Brian Clough would agree with what he had to say at half-time. Clark to Nottm. Burns, he was forced to play that early, but it could still work for him. Came off Robertson, Alistair Robertson. And here's Regis, they're caught square, this is a chance! Oh, he took it superbly! They were caught absolutely flat then. And Regis seemingly taking it so low with the bend of the knee, and look at the delight! Cyril Regis, the youngster spotted by Ronnie Allen, has come from semi-professional football at Hayes to really blast his way into the scene at the top, and has put Albion 2 up in this cup tie with 3 minutes of the second half gone. Well, only once in cup ties between these two sides has decision been reached at the first time of asking, and that was when Forest won here by a score of 3-2. Here's John Robertson, who's found himself very well marked. With Gemmell, O'Neill, oh, that's a good turn. Bowyer making something when it ought to have been cleared. Indecision then on the far post allowed Bowyer the chance to get it across. Gemmell, Woodcock, Statham, oh, he turned the wrong way. Here's O'Neill, Woodcock going up ahead of him, that's a nice ball, fine tackle, and over the top by With. Weil had to make the tackle, but it put the ball to With. But it was a fine tackle on Woodcock by John Weil, and With spurned the chance. Good comeback this by Forest. With Robertson. Truex header. And Mulligan completing the fact that Forest have a corner. An hour of the match gone. 2-0 to West Bromwich Albion. Bit of pushing going on there, I would have thought. Back by Clark. Good punch by Godden. Gemmell. Gemmell again. With over the top. Good stuff from Godden, who's complaining to the referee. But Archie Gemmell is the driving force behind this comeback. Even Joe O'Neill out of the way then. Needham didn't make it. Bowyer away by Alistair Robertson. Brown chasing Clark and Burns looks in desperation. Jimmy Gordon with a smile. Very important part of the Nottingham Forest setup, not always given credit for that fact. Johnston. Burns, it's got over the top. Alistair Brown, Shilton off his line, square to Tony Brown, and we tried the impossible with Alistair Brown. And Shilton given the chance to recover. Alistair Brown had Tony Brown in a far better position, but presumably didn't see him. It was easier to see it from up here. But Forest caught going forward, the ball knocked over the back of the defence. Alistair Brown getting in front of Shilton. Woodcock. O'Neill. It's getting close to being the man of the match, Martin O'Neill, even on the losing side. There's Gemmell. McGovern. It's all a bit tight. Bowyer. Woodcock is on the touchline. Again, a whole mess of players to be picked out. Bowyer. Gemmell. Clark. Robertson going wide. Well, it's the first time he's really run, Mulligan. Nottm, he's made it! No, he hasn't! Yes, he has! It's finally gone in by Woodcock, but with his hand. Woodcock put it in after Nottm's header had come off the crossbar and gone down. And Woodcock put it in with his hand. Laurie Cunningham has come on. And Alistair Brown has already gone off. But here's Woodcock with no one there to put it in. Blocked on the line by Mulligan and then turned away by Alistair Robertson. But if you needed convincing it's Albion's day, that must have been the final one to convince you. The treble has gone Albion are one step from Wembley. Ron Atkinson gets the congratulations. Joy all around Albion, except, of course, amongst the Forest players. John Wilde there, one of the season campaigners who must now see his chance of going to Wembley. Gets a nod to Godden, whose save early on from O'Neill proved to be so important. All credit to Forest for their fine performance after being 2 down. But it was Albion's day, and they who celebrate.
A memorable victory for the Albion, although no route to Wembley for them. They were beaten in the semi-final after a bruising encounter with Ipswich Town. Meanwhile, for Clough and Forest, there was still plenty to crow about. They went on to win the League Cup and secure a first-ever league title. Our final time moves us forward to 1987. Now, Arsenal had experienced something of a decline during the 1980s, but George Graham's first season as manager had started to show signs of a revival for the Gunners, which would bear fruit with an appearance in the League Cup final. In stark contrast, Watford were enjoying the greatest time in their history, thanks to a future England manager and a superstar chairman.
I still dream of Organon. I wake up crying, you're making rain, and you're just in reach.
Where's Luther?
All right. You're like my
Hey, come on, get crump in this flop!
Mercer. And Jenkins scores.
But every time it rains,
Smooth inside, number 4. Lissett coming in and makes it!
like the sun coming out. I just know that something good is gonna happen.
Defence didn't move out for catch downs. And there's Jenkins! Barnes. Mr. Rostron. Oh, it's a good try and a lovely goal.
Armstrong again. Oh, Callahan! What a cheeky goal! Well, I'd say. An historic night indeed in this corner of Hertfordshire. Johnston, wide of him is Callahan with a drive. Oh!
Barnes. Oh, lovely skill. Oh, what a magnificent goal!
Here's Barnes. Riley's coming towards the near post. Oh, he's got a flick and it's there!
Graham Taylor, the man who'd masterminded the Hornets' ascent to the top, had provided a bit of a sting in the build-up to the game by suggesting that referee Brian Stevens shouldn't take charge of it. He'd sent off Watford goalkeeper Tony Coton in a league game against Arsenal earlier in the season. So some question marks over the man in the middle at Highbury, where taking charge for Match of the Day was John Motson.
Steve Williams is back in the Arsenal team after missing 6 games with a fractured elbow. He's wearing a moulded plastic splint to protect the area of the injury, and that had to be approved before the kick-off by the referee. Williams replaces Michael Thomas in the centre of the Arsenal midfield. Thomas drops to substitute, where he's joined on the bench by Charlie Nicholas, who has himself recovered from a sprained ankle. Watford keep the side that played in the second half against Everton on Match of the Day Live last Sunday. Gary Porter still playing at number 10 for the injured Kenny Jackett. But lots of attention focused this week on number 11, John Barnes, who has been offered the prospect of playing for Liverpool next season, but who many Arsenal fans would like to see here at Highbury when he comes to the end of his Watford contract. Brian Stevens of Stonehouse in Gloucestershire, something of a controversial choice as referee for this cup tie, because when the teams met here in the league earlier this season, he sent off the Watford goalkeeper Tony Coton on the advice of a linesman following a penalty incident, and Watford asked the FA to think again about this choice, but Brian Stevens is again in the middle. A pleasant afternoon at Highbury as Arsenal kick off at the start of this all-Southern 6th-round tie. John McClellan there for Watford, and then Gibbs out to Bardsley. Tony Adams with Mark Falco. Richardson, Bardsley, and now Gibbs. Porter, Barnes. And he's beaten Anderson. Blissett. Well, that was a perfect piece of wing play by John Barnes. Nobody can say there's a better sight in football than a winger going cleanly outside his fullback, as Barnes did there by Anderson. But Luther Blissett couldn't make the most of the opportunity. Sims and Quinn together again, forward by Adams. Rostron with Groves, Hayes trying to sneak in, and McClellan away. Oh, Allinson! John McClellan in a terrible mix-up with Tony Coton, and Ian Allinson took advantage. Arsenal are in the lead in the 12th minute, and Allinson didn't hang about. John McClellan appeared to be favourite, but he didn't seem to want the ball to go back to the keeper, and as he hesitated, Allinson smacked it into the net to put Arsenal ahead. Only his second goal of the season. Allinson's other goal was the one that turned the Littlewoods Cup semi-final at Tottenham I wonder how important this one will prove. Good turn by David Bardsley. Blissett, good goal. Simple, but so well executed. Watford have equalised. And need we say it again, good orthodox wing play. David Bardsley, whose thrusts worried Everton last Sunday, goes down the right, crosses to the near post. Luther Blissett applies the finish to make it 1-1. Well, Blissett's in quite a run of scoring form at the moment. FA Cup goals against Chelsea, Walsall and now Arsenal, as well as the header against Everton. Here's Hayes, on to Quinn. Now Quinn forcing the corner. David O'Leary going up to the near post now. He got a flick on, and it was scrambled from almost on the line. This has been quite a taxing week for George Graham. That's the telephone that communicates him with the dugout. So the referee ends the first half, which was an open, entertaining one from a spectator's point of view. Luther Blissett put Watford level after 23 minutes, and somebody protesting at half-time to referee Brian Stevens, and Viv Anderson appears to have been spoken to as he goes off. And the temperature rising a little in the last few minutes before half-time, which arrives with the score here 1 each. So the familiar Highbury scene, as two clubs have only met First Division opposition once between them in the FA Cup this season before today. Prepare to start for the second half. Arsenal have beaten Reading, Plymouth and Barnsley to get this far. Watford's victims were Maidstone, Chelsea and Walsall. And there's the flag up for a foul by Blissett on Adams. It's Helen underneath it. O'Leary, Hayes. Now Richardson. He's got support on both wings. Bardsley. And he's gone around Sansom. Barnes has come in. Oh, a fine goal by John Barnes. That's a beauty. And Watford are in front. And the two wingers combine again. And what about this for wide play? England fullbacks they may be, Anderson and Sansom, but Bardsley and Barnes are taking them on this afternoon. Bardsley skipped Sansom. The cross was met by Barnes' header. And in the roof of the net, Watford are in front. And Arsenal, at the end of this demanding week, Charlie Nicholas is preparing perhaps to come on, find themselves on the wrong end of the scoreline again for the moment. Here's Groves. That's a probing run by Perry Groves. He's got Allinson here. And now Sansom. And Hayes up with the keeper. And again, David Bardsley. This is getting very tricky for Arsenal. There are 3 against 3. Kenny Sansom out of position. And the cross will be picked up by Falco, and he's got 2 unmarked. Barnes. And offside, not against Bardsley. I think it was Blissett in the middle. But Bardsley is finding a lot of room. Everton found him a handful in the second half last week. Arsenal have found him difficult to contain throughout the match so far this week. The Highbury faithful about to welcome Charlie Nicholas and Michael Thomas, it would appear. The players going off are Ian Allinson and Martin Hayes. So a double change, continental style by George Graham. Will it be sufficient? Thomas number 14, Nicholas number 12 to push Arsenal back into contention in this cup tie. Well, it's been a tiring week for Arsenal, and Steve Williams playing his first game in 7. Just wonder whether the fresh pairs of legs that George Graham has brought on are going to make a difference. That's obviously what he's gambling on. Charlie Nicholas yet to get a touch, really. Groves. John McClellan's was the challenge. Arsenal appeal for a penalty, not given. And Blissett chases the long kick. And still Blissett. And now there's appeals at the other end. And referee Brian Stevens again says no. And I have to say that I think he was right on both occasions. Here's Groves. Worked it back to Rocastle. And Barnes again defending. Sims is staying close to Niall Quinn. There is Quinn. Anderson, Thomas. Sansom. And Arsenal have forced a corner in this long assault on the Watford goal. Nicholas goes across for a short one. Gets it back to Sansom. Quinn went down under challenge from Sims. Nothing given. Nicholas! It won't go in for Arsenal. And one of the reasons is this fellow. In fact, he's a very big reason. Porter, with Falco to his left. Barnes. Oh, and Falco in space here. He's onside. Now a chance for Watford. 2 in the middle waiting. Oh, Blissett, surely! In many ways, as Falco holds his head, Blissett did the right thing. He tried to direct the header back to where the goalkeeper was coming from, but he just got too much height on it. Well, Graham Taylor and his team less than 5 minutes away from a semi-final. David O'Leary. Free kick given against Gary Porter for the foul on Perry Groves. Steve Williams is arguing again with the referee, but Arsenal's best course of action now will be to get on with things, really. 3 minutes. Quinn with Sims. Oh, the flag's up on the far side. The referee hasn't seen it. Blissett's away for Watford. Controversy here looming. He's onside, is Blissett, and Lukic is saved, and Blissett again. A goal! But Arsenal must go back to the referee because the linesman on the far side was flagging in the previous attack. He wasn't seen. The referee played on, and Blissett scored at the other end. But he's right to consult his linesman because there was a flag. Whether it was for a penalty, I'm not sure, because the linesman raised the flag, the referee didn't look across, so we never saw it go across his chest. But did he see a foul or not at the other end in the previous attack? Because his flag was certainly up. Now, what does Brian Stevens do here? Involved in controversy in the Arsenal-Watford fixture for the second time running this season, and he has awarded a goal to Watford, scored by Luther Blissett, who squeezed his shot past the man on the line to make it 3-1 and confirm that Watford are in the semi-final But George Graham has made an emphatic protest from the bench, and without taking anything away from Watford, I have to see the reason why. Would the linesman have put a flag across his chest if the referee had seen the initial signal? Was it for something else? I can't say that from here. What I do know is there was a flag, and it went back down again, and at the other end, Watford scored. So, Graham Taylor, who was disappointed with the officials here when his team lost in the league, had his goalkeeper sent off. Sometimes in football, in a most peculiar way, the wheel turns full circle, and it has done for Watford at Highbury this season. About that, there is no doubt at all. Sansom. Sims is up there again. Sansom once more. Watford are through to the semi-final of the FA Cup. The managers shake hands. But for Graham Crafter from Maidstone, the linesman with the white hair, and referee Brian Stevens, there will need to have to be a fairly hasty exit, because things are possibly being thrown there after a controversial incident. Graham Taylor's saying, get off the pitch, we don't want to incite any more fan reaction. Steve Williams arguing with the Watford manager. He seems to have lost his head a little bit. There's trouble down there by the tunnel. Terry Groves is trying to separate them. Arsenal are angry. It's the end of a bad week for them. Watford, who, to be fair, were 2-1 up anyway, can't be blamed for what happened. They don't control the officials. And in any event, felt hard done by in the same way earlier this season here. But the upshot of it all is that Watford have won by 3-1, 2 from Blissett and 1 from Barnes. The most influential player, possibly Bardsley on the right wing, with the first 2 goals made by him. But everybody will talk about the incident 2 minutes from the end, when a linesman's flag went up with the ball in the Watford penalty area. It was apparently not seen by the referee, and Watford made the game safe at the other end. A final score, but with plenty of talking to do afterwards, I'm sure, of Arsenal 1, Watford 3.
And some Gunners fans still talk about that decision to this day. A goalkeeping crisis would then play its part as Watford succumbed to Tottenham in the semis, whilst George Graham's team found silver solace in the shape of the League Cup. Controversy, passion, determination, all combining to beat the unbeatable and give us some great FA Cup stories. Join us again for some more Classic Ties. Goodbye.